Her ships were laden with gold, but their destination was more precious than any earthly treasure. Sheba, Queen of Ethiopia. Drawn by whispers of a king wiser than the ages, she embarked on a perilous journey to Jerusalem. But this was no mere trade mission. This meeting of minds, of kingdoms, would birth a legacy etched in bloodlines and faith, the Solomonic dynasty of Ethiopia. From the highlands of Ethiopia, where ancient mysteries whisper on the wind, comes a story etched not just in scripture, but in the very bedrock of a kingdom. A story of wealth, wisdom, and a queen who dared to journey beyond the known world. We know her as the Queen of Sheba. A figure shrouded in legend, often relegated to the realm of fairy tales. But the truth, as is so often the case with Africa, is far more profound, far more impactful. She was a ruler of immense power, controlling vast trade routes that snaked through the Arabian Peninsula and into the heart of Africa. Gold, spices, precious stones all flowed through her hands, enriching her kingdom and fueling her ambition. News of the legendary King Solomon, master architect of Jerusalem and possessor of unparalleled wisdom, reached her ears. Driven by curiosity, and perhaps a shrewd business sense, she embarked on a journey north. A journey that would forever alter the course of African history. The Bible tells of their meeting, a clash of intellect and power, a sharing of gifts and knowledge. But what the scriptures only hint at, African oral tradition shouts from the rooftops. It speaks of a deeper connection, a bond forged between two powerful leaders. Upon her return to Africa, the queen, whose name is said to be Makeda, bore a child. A son named Menelik, meaning son of the wise. He grew to be a strong and just ruler. Around 950 BC, Menelik traveled to Jerusalem to meet his father. Solomon recognized his son and trained him in the ways of kingship. But when Menelik returned home, he didn't come empty-handed. According to Ethiopian tradition, he brought with him the Ark of the Covenant. Wait, what? The Ark, the holiest artifact in Judaism, now resting, not in Jerusalem, but in the heart of Ethiopia. We've seen how ancient African royalty intertwined with the biblical narrative. But why does it matter? Why dig through dusty scrolls and forgotten tales? Because the echoes of that era still reverberate through the continent today, hidden in plain sight. Consider this: in 1324, Mansa Musa, the ruler of the Mali Empire, embarked on his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. His caravan, laden with gold dust and treasures, crossed the Sahara, leaving a trail of economic disruption in its wake. In Cairo he spent so much gold it devalued the local currency for over a decade. Now, listen to how contemporary chroniclers described Mansa Musa's wealth. Al-Umari, an Arab scholar who met Mansa Musa in Cairo, wrote of gold in unimaginable quantities, a treasure that astonished the senses. Does that sound familiar? It echoes the very language used to describe the treasures of King Solomon in the Bible. Think back to the Queen of Sheba's visit, bringing spices, gold, and precious stones to Jerusalem. The scriptures tell of exceeding riches, of a kingdom overflowing with divine favor and material abundance. The parallels are striking. We are not just talking about wealth, we are talking about a standard of wealth mirrored centuries later on African soil. The narrative we've been fed often positions Africa as a recipient of aid, a land of poverty and struggle. But Mansa Musa's story, like the Queen of Sheba's, challenges that deeply flawed stereotype. It speaks to a legacy of African ingenuity, of thriving economies, and of rulers who commanded global power. But here's where it gets interesting, and where the connection deepens. The very same trade routes used by Mansa Musa, routes that crisscrossed the Sahara and stretched across the Indian Ocean, were also the routes that facilitated the spread of Christianity into Africa centuries earlier. The biblical narrative wasn't to Africa. Africa was already in the narrative. Wait, what if the incredible wealth of Mansa Musa? What if it was a direct continuation of the economic and spiritual legacy established by that initial encounter between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon? So, the Queen of Sheba's legendary journey to Jerusalem wasn't merely a biblical tale of wisdom. It was the seed of a powerful, interconnected trade network and the potential genesis of Ethiopia's Solomonic dynasty, a lineage that shaped the destiny of millions for centuries. But why does this ancient exchange matter today? It reminds us that Africa has always been a hub of innovation, trade, and sophisticated governance. It challenges the narratives of dependence and reinforces the inherent ingenuity that lies within our continent. Understanding this history empowers us to build on that legacy. Want to explore your own African story further? Check out the Creator Kit at pornoafric.com/shop.html. It's packed with resources to help you research and share your heritage. This legacy of trade, of connection, of powerful African leadership, lives on. It's a story of resilience, a story of wisdom, and a story that deserves to be told. Tag someone who needs to hear the African Story Globe Show in Europe, Africa.